My cousin accused me of stealing from her at her wedding, even though she was the one who misplaced the jewelry. Now they want to pretend this never happened. I'm not sure what to call it, maybe betrayal or misunderstanding, but it was all just so messed up. It started with my cousin, Emma. We were never best friends, more like those cousins who are nice but don't hang out much. She was always more into keeping up appearances than I was, but we were still family, right? Then came her December engagement. Everyone was excited. She looked radiant in the pictures her fiancé, Jason, posted. They were going to have a traditional Hindu ceremony. I even sent her a thoughtful gift, a piece of jewelry she'd mentioned liking once. She gushed over it on social media, and I felt like we were finally connecting. Fast forward to February. Emma sent me a wedding invitation. The whole thing was fancy, lots of details about a dress code, which was unusual for us, but hey, maybe she just wanted a big, beautiful wedding. I was happy for her. The problem was, I was living overseas, working a brand new job. I told her right away, I need plenty of notice, okay? I'm trying to juggle this all. I wanted to go, but it was tricky. She reassured me, saying the wedding was months away, to be patient. So, when I found out she was talking about me behind my back just a week before the wedding, I felt a little blindsided. One of my friends mentioned hearing Emma gripe about my job at a coffee shop, a boring, dead-end project manager's job, and how she never thought I'd be the career type. I wanted to be understanding. Maybe she didn't mean anything by it. Maybe it was just some silly jealousy thing, or maybe she had other things going on with the wedding plans and didn't mean to say anything hurtful, so I just brushed it off. Still, the whole thing felt off, like an uncomfortable itch. When the big day arrived, I was actually excited. Emma was all smiles and I genuinely wanted to make the best of it. The Hindu ceremony was so colorful and festive, it was like a movie. And I was part of it. Emma even asked me to walk with her to the ceremony. It felt like a big step towards building a better relationship. I was genuinely happy for her. The reception was just as grand, with delicious food, lots of dancing, and even a fire show that was awesome. My grandmother was ecstatic, laughing and swirling around the dance floor in her sari. But the weirdness started at the last minute. Emma wanted to change out of her heavy bridal outfit. She had another outfit planned for a more modern reception. She said she needed help and called for her mom and me to assist her. Emma was struggling with her elaborate jewelry, and I was kind of flustered by all the sparkly things. "Here, I'll handle this," her mom interrupted. "Just leave the jewelry alone. I'll take care of it." It was a bit out of the blue, but I followed her lead. I helped Emma take off her heavy bracelets, put them in a box, and we helped her change into her other outfit. I wasn't around when they dealt with the rest of her jewelry. It seemed like they were more interested in the other guests. By the end of the evening, I was exhausted. The whole wedding was pretty chaotic. But it was a good chaotic, if you know what I mean. So, even though it had been a really long day, and I wanted to stay up late and have some drinks with friends, I went to bed early to recharge for the trip home the next day. My big mistake was that I left without giving Emma a wedding gift. It's not like we were close, but I know my grandmother was expecting me to bring something. She's always emphasizing that these traditions are important. I felt like things were a bit off, like something had changed with Emma. I wanted to talk to her about it after the wedding, get some answers, but I didn't want to start a fight at the reception. 2 days later, Emma called, her voice kind of strained. "Hey, have you seen the necklace and earrings that were part of my wedding set?" She sounded worried. "They are missing." I told her, "No, I only took off your bracelets and put them in the box with the mom. Honestly, I was just focused on helping you change your outfit. I was a mess by then." She told me, "Okay, well, I'm going to ask around, because this whole thing is making me nervous." It wasn't until later that day that the whole truth exploded on Facebook. Emma posted a really vague message about the missing jewelry and alluded to someone in the family taking it. I couldn't believe it. I read her post over and over, but there were no names mentioned. Still, I felt a wave of panic. It felt like she was pointing a finger at me, at least that's what it felt like. She didn't say it out loud, but she did it in the most public way she could. I looked around online, trying to figure out what happened. Then I saw a post from her sister, who had jumped in with something like, "Well, we didn't like her anyway." The words felt like a slap in the face. I've got to tell you, it was hard to hold it all in. I was mad, confused, and hurt. I couldn't believe Emma would accuse me of something like that. And that was just the beginning. Later that same evening, I got a message from Emma's mom. It was direct. "Are you sure you didn't take anything else? What about the necklace and earrings?" I was shocked. It seemed she believed her daughter without any actual proof. It seemed to confirm what Emma had posted online. That night, I couldn't sleep. All I kept thinking about was what I should do. Should I explain myself? I was hurt, and a part of me didn't even want to bother. But the other part of me, the part that actually cared about family, felt obligated to do something. The next morning, I called my grandmother. We hadn't been close for a few years, but I was always trying to keep in touch. When I told her about the drama and asked for her advice, her first response was, "Why are you making a fuss over this? Don't you know Emma gets really nervous and anxious? You must have forgotten something. Just let her talk herself down and forget it." At that moment, the realization hit me it was the exact same answer I had gotten from Emma's mom and her sister, all of them basically assuming I was guilty without any evidence. As I hung up with my grandmother, my phone dinged. It was a message from my cousin Jessica. Jessica was Emma's second cousin. We were closer, we always had a fun time together. We had been living overseas in similar situations. I read her message with my heart pounding. "Hey, guess what? Emma's mom actually found the missing jewelry." It was in the box of wedding stuff that Emma had packed for the car. Jessica added, "Emma didn't tell me, she just asked her mom to put it away in the car, so her mom totally forgot about it." I had been right. It was so obvious, it should have been crystal clear all along. But it wasn't. Why did it feel like no one wanted to hear my side of the story? I knew what was next. The whole thing was going to blow up online, because Emma's social media is like a megaphone for the whole family, so I braced myself for the next wave of gossip. But the truth was out. I was relieved. It seemed like I didn't have to try to explain myself. Yet, my initial anger wasn't gone. I couldn't erase the memory of Emma's accusation. Emma had wronged me, and it didn't feel like she was ready to apologize or even admit her mistake. In that moment, I knew what I had to do. I would distance myself, cut off all contact. My initial plan was to ignore everything and simply go on with my life. The problem was, that was easier said than done. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing with texts from different family members. "Is it true what Emma is saying? Did you really take her jewelry?" My grandma sent me another text. "I told Emma you'd forget to give back the jewelry. She gets flustered over everything, it's probably an accident." My sister called me to talk it all over. "I know you wouldn't steal. But you had to get over this drama." It felt like they had all believed Emma's made-up story. My sister felt terrible for me. She even sent me a little package in the mail with my favorite chocolates. But my grandmother was on Emma's side. It was as if Emma's post had become some sort of family gossip storm, with everyone trying to get involved. I thought I could handle all the mess, but the stress and worry became unbearable. My heart felt heavy as lead, and I knew I had to do something. Emma's Facebook post remained on the internet, with all its lies and rumors. Her sister hadn't taken down her comment, even after everyone knew the truth about the jewelry. I felt betrayed by my whole family. I needed to do something, to clear my name. So, I gathered the evidence, the messages, and the screenshots, and I decided to post my side of the story, publicly, tagging everyone who had heard Emma's version. My hope was to expose the truth. Maybe, just maybe, it would stop the gossip. It was also a message to Emma. "You're not going to get away with this." My fingers shook as I clicked post. A wave of fear and determination flooded through me. After that post, my world changed. My grandma was horrified. Emma's mom called, demanding that I take down the post, and my sister kept telling me how important it was to stay positive. I couldn't believe this whole ordeal had become about saving face. My friends overseas rallied behind me, offering their support. Some were even posting messages on social media, telling everyone I was not a thief. My aunt called. She told me she couldn't believe her sister's, Emma's mom, behavior. I told her, it's not a good idea to spread rumors like this. It felt good to hear her voice on my side. At the end of the day, I couldn't go back and erase what had happened. I needed to live with the consequences. But, you know what? I knew it was going to be okay. The only person I could control was me. I still have a few family members who I stay close to, but we are still careful. It feels different. This story was never really about jewelry. I guess, if I learned anything, it's that I should trust my gut instincts. There were times when I wanted to turn back, to avoid the drama and pain, but I kept moving forward. It's what you have to do sometimes, right? And guess what? After all of the drama, the hurt, and the tears, I'm still here. I'm still breathing, and I'm still myself. That's more than I can say for some people. And that's my story. Word count. 1622. Next story. My best friend has been using me for clout, telling wild lies about my brothers and turning my life into a hot mess. And now, she's pretending like I'm the toxic one and I'm the one who's weirdly possessive. It all started when my best friend, let's call her Sarah, began telling these wild stories on social media about my super hot older brothers. Now, I have 8 older brothers, a mix of adopted and half-siblings, but they're all amazing, and I love them dearly. I haven't had my parents in my life since I was 11, so my brothers are my world. Sarah and I have been friends since we were 4 years old. We've shared everything, secrets whispered in the dark, dreams whispered under a sky full of stars. But lately, things had been weird. For the past year or so, Sarah's been posting about these made-up romances with my brothers, using words like love triangles and steamy romance. The thing is, my brothers barely know Sarah. They see her as my friend, nothing more. So, all these stories were totally out of the blue, and they were beginning to make me feel uncomfortable. Over the past few weeks, things escalated. Sarah started telling these fictional tales to people at school, bragging about her exciting love life. The problem was, people actually started to believe her. My life was suddenly the hot topic of school gossip, and I hated it. I felt like I was trapped in a bad reality show, one where I never auditioned for a part. I tried talking to Sarah about it, you know, like a normal person. I tried to explain that her stories were causing a lot of drama and making me uncomfortable. She always had the same response. I'd never hurt you, I'm just living my life. It was like talking to a wall that somehow learned how to talk back, but didn't understand what you were saying. I tried bringing it up several times, but Sarah never took me seriously. It got to the point where I started avoiding her. I knew that if I hung out with her, my brothers would be dragged into her imaginary tales, and I'd have to ask her to stop again. Then came the day everything exploded. We were going out with some friends, and 4 of my brothers offered to drive us. As soon as we got out of the car, a few girls in the group bombarded Sarah with questions about the handsome guys in the car. They were practically drooling over my brothers, thanks to Sarah's crazy stories. That was my breaking point. I lost it. I shouted, "Those are my brothers. And Sarah, if you don't stop using my life to make yourself popular, we're done. I'm serious. Stop living your fantasy through me." I stormed off, fuming. Looking back, I realized it wasn't the most mature way to handle the situation, but I was hurt and angry. Sarah called me that evening, demanding space from our friendship. She accused me of being jealous, clingy, and controlling, especially since she'd become close with my brothers. None of that was true, of course. I just wanted her to stop making things up about my family. My brothers, ever protective, told me to end the friendship. I was torn. Sarah had been such a big part of my life for so long. Letting go of that history, of the years of shared laughter and inside jokes, felt impossible. But I couldn't ignore the fact that she was making me miserable. I knew I needed clarity, a clear view of what had happened without Sarah's twisted narrative. So, I did what any sensible person would do. I talked to my brothers. I showed them my Reddit post, the one where I had asked strangers on the internet if I was in the wrong. They read it carefully, absorbing every word and the hundreds of comments that followed. Sam, one of my older brothers, assured me that none of them had ever been flirtatious, romantic, or even remotely inappropriate with Sarah. He explained that they were never alone with her for more than a minute or two. Hearing that lifted a weight from my shoulders. I was so scared that one of my brothers would confess to something that would have shattered my world. Thankfully, it was all in Sarah's imagination. But my conversation with my brothers took an unexpected turn. Sam revealed something that hit me hard, like a punch to the gut. He shared that they had overheard Sarah saying awful things about me to other people, things designed to damage my reputation and push people away from me. I was floored. The ground beneath my feet seemed to shift. According to my brothers, Sarah would say things like, "She's so clingy," or, "She tries to control everyone." She even went so far as to tell people that I had slept with one of my brothers. My heart ached. It was like being betrayed by a wolf in sheep's clothing. This whole time, while I was worried about her making up stories about my brothers, she had been quietly creating a web of lies about me, chipping away at my friendships and isolating me from potential friends. Feeling overwhelmed, I went for a walk, desperate for fresh air to clear my head. As if I wasn't already reeling, Sarah called me, and against my better judgment, I answered. Maybe I hoped for an apology, an explanation that made sense. Maybe some part of me wanted to salvage what was left of our friendship. The conversation started badly and rapidly went downhill. "Listen," she said, her voice dripping with false concern. "We've been friends for a long time, and I would never want to hurt you. But honestly, this friendship has become toxic." I was stunned by her audacity. "Are you serious?" I shot back, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. "I know what you've been saying about me. You're a liar, a creep. You're the only toxic thing in this friendship." "I've never lied to you in my life," she countered, her voice cold and sharp. "I have no idea what you're talking about, but you're wrong. It's not my fault that people don't want to be your friend. You're just weirdly possessive. You told people you were dating my brothers. That's not just gross, it's messed up," I said, my voice rising in disbelief. "This is exactly what I mean," she said, her voice oozing with a sickening sweetness that made me want to hurl. "You're not acting like yourself. Ever since we got older, you've become obsessed with attention. I just don't like this version of you. This isn't the best friend I used to know." That was it. I hung up. I felt utterly lost, completely devastated. Sarah, my best friend, had turned into someone I didn't even recognize. And worse, I was starting to believe that I was to blame, that somehow I had become this awful, attention-seeking person she described. I felt like a complete and utter failure, as if I was drowning in quicksand with no way out. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing call after call from Sarah. I wanted to block her, erase her number from my life, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. She had been my rock, my confidant, and even though she'd revealed herself to be a liar and manipulator, cutting her out of my life felt like severing a part of myself. I was at a complete loss. Part of me wanted to tell her parents, expose her lies and manipulation, but what proof did I have? I was terrified that she had already poisoned them against me, spun a tale where I was the villain, the jealous, controlling friend. All I could do was cry, feeling the sting of betrayal and the cold emptiness of being alone, stripped of my best friend and wondering who to trust.